As usual, I would like to select a data set from Kaggle so you can follow through and go back and implement the same. That's the whole agenda. Try and get some data and the analytics around it in a much more easy to follow way. Okay. So I have been researching and I thought this data set was very intriguing to me. As we are wrapping up 2024, I think it makes perfect sense to try and understand your lifestyle and how your physical activity is going to influence your sleep and the quality of sleep. I personally think, and I have a very strong hypothesis that when you have a good physical activity during the day, that is going to have a significant impact on your sleep cycle or the quality of sleep. I'm a big proponent of that. So let's find out if that's even a reality by testing it on a data set. So I have looked into this data set and I think it's pretty interesting. So let's dive into it. So this is a data set. It has 13 columns, 400 rows. It is a representative sample. At least that's an assumption for now. Um, it has comprehensive sleep metrics, lifestyle factors, cardiovascular health factors, which is great. Maybe we will not use that for today. So yeah, it is broken down by several categorical variables like gender, age, occupation, and we have some metrics flowing across these variables, across these categories, such as sleep duration, quality of sleep. Um, I believe there are other cardiovascular health metrics as well. So let's kickstart a notebook here and see what the data set is indicating. I'm going to label this file, the notebook, to health analysis. Okay, let's keep it simple and run this initial query to get the file path. This is saved in a CSV file. So we need the file path to access this data set in our subsequent steps. So that's why I want to run this query. Okay, we'll have the query in a second here. So it looks like the session ended. I'm going to copy this file path to use in our data. As usual, I want to import some of the libraries that we are going to use today. Import pandas, import matplotlib, splt. I do want to bring in some of the specialty charts today as SNS. I'm going to do a simple pd.read. As we are reading from the CSV file, I'm going to define this dataset data frame as df and copy the file path there. Be cognizant of some syntax. It needs to be enclosed. All right, so we are going to try and look at the top 10 rows to get a sense of how the data is flowing. I'm going to print df dot head 10. It's the top 10 rows. So try and run this one very quickly. So we have the person ID, looks like that's the primary key, gender, age, the categorical variables, occupation. The interesting metrics here are sleep duration. So number of hours, average number of hours you are sleeping, quality of sleep on a scale of 1 to 10, physical activity, which is minutes per day. I like that metric because it's a very much normalized metric to assess and find patterns in the data. Stress level, it is also at a scale of 1 to 10. BMI category, blood pressure, which is systolic and diastolic, heart rate, in BPM, that's the unit of measurement, daily steps, and sleep disorder. Okay, that's a lot of good information, but I want to pick two simple variables and try and see the correlation between the two. I'm going to put down my hypothesis here. Hypothesis is physical activity has significant correlation to quality of sleep. That's what I'm trying to understand here from the data set I have. To start with, I'm going to start plotting, plot a density chart to see if there is any relationship to begin with. Okay. All right. I'm going to do the usual mandatory steps. Define the fig size. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in the density plot. Data equal to df. I do want to define the x and y label. The x label, which I want to plot on the x-axis, will be the physical activity level. So I'm going to get the physical activity level here. And I'm going to get the plot the quality of sleep on y-axis. So those are the two variables I'm selecting to understand the correlation and get more evidence for my hypothesis. Okay, and then I'm going to fill is equal to true, just additional syntax we need for a density plot. Now going back to PLT title, looks like there is some syntax error going on here. Okay. Fig size we have. Oh, okay, we missed a comma. That's what it is. All right. Okay. All right. Title, we're going to say sleep sleep correlation with physical activity. Keep it simple. And then we are going to also define, okay, I think I hit execute, run, and we got a plot already. That's good to know. But I want to define the X and Y labels here. PLT. So shift enter is going to be run. I think I accidentally hit that. I do want to indicate the X label and Y label so it is easy to understand what I'm trying to plot. X label will be physical activity. Physical activity. I do want to call out the units here in minutes per day. That's the metric. That's how the variable is defined. Y label is quality of sleep. Quality of sleep. And this is in a scale 1 to 10. So that's what I'm going to define here. And without much further delay, I'm going to plot the graph. Well, we already got a sneak peek of the graph when I accidentally hit shift enter. So we'll see how this is going to come out. Okay. Oh, I have a spelling mistake here. Y label is not defined properly, so I'm going to fix that. Though this chart is very interesting to look at, visually appealing, but I can't really make any sense of it, right? I'm going to try and use a different kind of plot, maybe a scatter plot to help understand. So I'm going to comment this out and try and get a scatter plot, which will be more helpful in this regard. So I'm going to get that. The scatter plot. And I think we don't really need to use these additional comments here. And I do want to bring in a trend line. So I'm going to say reg plot. The same thing, actually. I can just copy the whole thing and change it to reg plot. Okay. I just like to bring everything into the format where I can visually see. So we have defined the y-axis. I'm going to say scatter. Don't want to plot that. And I am going to say what color is the trend line. The color for the trend line should be red, maybe. We'll see how that comes out. So I'm going to say this is the trend line, and this is the actual plot. Scatter plot for correlation. Okay, so let's see if this is going to give us something different that is easier to interpret. I do like the density chart. It's very visually exciting, but I can't really make sense of it. So we'll see. Okay, so this is much better to understand. And of sleep is dependent on physical activity or not. So I'm going to filter down for gender, male, and occupation. So I'm going to filter down the occupation to office worker. So I'm going to get the same thing from the data set here, occupation, and I'm going to filter out for employee like myself. So that's the hypothesis I have. So I'm going to test that out and do the same thing for female. So gender equal to female and see how the trends are different. Okay, now I brought in two different data sets. I'm going to filter out for male and female in my data set. So all I'm going to do is change the data set to male and see how this is going to change my data. Okay, that is interesting. I can understand that given the data set is small, this is 400 rows, that's why we don't see a lot of data points, but it kind of shows there is significant trend. The trend line is indicating the quality of sleep is better if you have more physical activity during the day. This is for male. And for let's see if that has an impact on female. That'll be good to know if they are different. Um, the trend is different for male and female. It's kind of very interesting. It is a flat line. So I do want to plot them together and see why the trend line is very different. After plotting them together, the male is on top here. It has a significant impact on the quality of sleep with physical activity, and the female, it does not have any impact. So that's very interesting. It was great connecting with you again, and we'll tune in more for more updates and data visualization impact and analysis in the new year. See you all soon.